Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank y'all again for tuning in to another episode of the Dope Sessions podcast. My name is Kelvy, and as always, I have a very special guest with me on this show, and we're just going to chop it up, just going to ask some questions, so everybody can get to know who the artist is that I'm speaking with today. I have the opportunity, as an independent artist to speak to other independent artists, no matter, where they come from, how I know them and everything. This one is special because I've known this young man since he was a kid, and just to see, the growth, from him being a boy to a man to not only that, but to be an actor, to be a musician and a singer, and we're gonna get into all of that. So, ladies and gentlemen, I do want to welcome you to the podcast, JoJB. What's going on, man?
Hey y'all, peace and love. All good. How are you?
Man, how you been, bro?
I've been good. I cannot complain. Quarantine has been treating me well. Everybody in the house is getting along. My job, which I actually just got, just before everything went crazy, I think end of February, beginning of March, I started working at a Smoothie King, and so I make smoothies, and we've been open the whole time. So I've been working a lot, being able to earn money, and I've been able to follow up on several different collaborations that I've been working on for a while now. We have today's the 17th, right?
Yeah.
So I have a new song that I'm dropping to SoundCloud today. And I'm also today going to upload a new single that's going to go on mainstream platforms. So I've just been able to keep really busy, been writing, and my next theater film stuff is postponed, and we'll resume probably before the year is out, assuming everything goes well.
Man, that's good, man, and that's the one thing too that as I've been doing this podcast, the one thing that I've learned about us as indie artists, we'll find a way to keep ourselves motivated and keep ourselves creative. Because like I said, I've known him since he was a little kid, and how I known him since him and his sister since they were kids was because his father is the pastor of my home church, Memorial Missionary Baptist Church on 1546 West 87th Street in Chicago.
Sorry.
Yes, sir. So, son. So, I've known them, his dad, his mom, and I've known him and his sister Lindsay since they were kids, and I love the growth of them, and it makes perfect sense because their dad is not only a pastor, but he's an excellent singer and an excellent musician. So it doesn't surprise me that Joe and Lindsay are doing their thing in music. Now, I guess my question to you is, when did music become the thing that you said, okay, this is what I want to do?
Yeah. So very, very young, we were learning piano, we were singing in choirs, giving solos in preschool, you know what I mean? As soon as we were able to talk, we were able to sing, my sister and I, and be able to learn about music theory and become inclined with music. But it wasn't until, I wrote my first song. I was, the summer before my senior year in high school, I wrote 2 songs while I was on a theater intensive in Boston. Those are kind of buried right now and probably won't come out for a long, long time just because of the things that take in focus. But it was 3 years ago, 2017. I dropped my first EP called Storage, which is it's a Greek word for love, love of the tyrant and love of the family. And so it wasn't until about 2017 that I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be a recording artist. I'm gonna, pursue live performing, and pursue a career in songwriting. So yeah, it was. I would have to say 2017 was when I was like, yeah, I'm gonna try to like make things for profit. And of course, like streaming projects, it's not about profit. It's literally about exposure and trying to gain traction with an audience. But I in that time I have been able to do a few live shows. Some things are like cuts of doors between like a variety show, a performance from all over the city. I've been able to perform in restaurants and also done some self-produced shows, which is what I want to focus on going forward. I want to do at least 2 shows a year that are self-produced, where the artists involved are able to make a little bit more money, and we can set up like a nice evening and also kind of promo the music that we have out.
Talk about Storage, because that was the first EP, the first release that you had, and it's I believe it's on Spotify if I'm not mistaken. So so check out Storage. Really, really fantastic EP. I want you to talk about kind of like the beginning stages of Storage, like how it started, where did you want to take it musically, and just as far as the sound of it. What was the overall scope, the sound, the what the message was that you wanted to get out across with Storage?
Real. So that was our first year of Trump. 2016 was a really, really hard year for me with my mental health because of just what was going on in our country at that time. And it was important for me to be able to center love and all its multiplicities of manifestations, if you will. So I talked a lot. I was able to be interviewed for another podcast, the Newsy Floozies, and they talked to me about Storage. And one thing I said was, when I'm talking about love, when I'm talking about be it romance or affection or tenderness, I'm really interested in opening interpretations of that message, that song, and allowing the listener to expand their idea of love, but also attach their own significance, their own meaning to the song, as far as like the way that they experience love in their life, but whether it be from a friend, from a grandmother, from anybody. And so that was where I was going with Storage, and I think it was my intention from the get-go to be a multi-genre artist. So that Storage, just like my newest album, has a very multi-genre sound. We don't spend too much time in any given genre, and if more than one song is within the same genre, they have very distinct sort of sounds or fusions with other genres that sort of separate them. So I intended to go multi-genre, and Storage meaning love of the tyrants, love of the family, thinking about ways in which your family can be your tyrant, and the ways in which your oppressor can be almost like family, and the way that they may not try to oppress, but obviously do. You know what I
mean? Right. You're collaborating with a lot of people on Storage, but to me, I felt like Storage, although you have collaborators, was more of a kind of solo project.
Okay.
To me, and I could be wrong, but that was kind of the how I kind of saw it, because I think with the Tapestries Collective, it seemed like more of a broad like group of people, concepts, everything like that. So I want to talk about that, because that is also the Tapestry Collective mixtape album is on Spotify. It's everywhere. Once again, very, very eclectic sound. Kind of taking from what you did with Storage and just kind of spreading it out.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I want you to talk about that particular album, the creative, what your mind was creatively when you were creating that album, the people that you worked with, because you really had some fantastic songs on there. And I told you, like one of my favorite songs is hey, one of my favorite songs, because I have a lot of favorite songs, but the one that like I play all the time is Rough Rainbows. And so just like this is kind of just talk about the creation of the Tapestry Collective and the album and everything.
For sure. So after I released Storage, I got right to I still had all this like unfinished material and kept like every couple of days, every month or so, several songs were coming out. And my music a lot of the time starts with just like a melody, singing and snapping, getting a sort of like lyrical structure down. I consider myself more of a lyricist than anything. I have fiddled around with some key stuff and some a little producing and a little engineering on my own. But ultimately I work with these other artists because they have these skill sets that I don't have.
All right, y'all. We're back. We kind of had some technical difficulties, but
my phone died.
But go ahead and continue. We were in the midst of discussing the from Storage to the Tapestry Collective.
Yeah. So one thing I did mean to say before I so rudely cut myself off, Storage was not intended for live performance in general. Okay. We have performed a couple things from there, particularly one thing that Morgan Pirtle sang. But yeah, Storage is really just sort of like my experiment to see what it was like recording in a studio, learning, flexing that muscle, starting to learn that. Really more interested in the quality of sound, incorporating harmony, more so. I think, every song. Not true. Almost every song on the Tapestries Collective mixtape album has harmony, but I was as I was writing those songs, I was like wanting to make more complex sounds, more complex lyrical structures. And so the Tapestries formed. I was looking for people in my social circle who were instrumentalists and producers to help me create the melodies that I had. Came across two friends from high school, Ty Stalin on trombone, and David Abramoff, goes by Duvu. He's a guitarist, a producer. Also, we worked with David's friend Ben Code on In Our Time. In Our Time was probably the first thing that I was really excited about as I decided to make the new album. In Our Time was like, okay, we need to make an album around this song.
Right.
And so Ben Code and David Abramoff, I've never met Ben Code. Ben Code lives in like Northern California or some shit.
Right.
My friend came and moved out to California to do like a big tech job. In any case, David and Ben do like a guitar-based drums jam. They send it to me. I'm like, this is dope. I put my vocals over it, and then I'm like, wait, I'm gonna go to DJ Simi, who produced Capital Black on Storage. And then she produced 2 songs on the Tapestries Collective album, Is There Time and In Our Time. So I took the In Our Time jam, and then sends it to Simone. She puts a trap beat under it and makes it this like trap jazz fusion thing. And I'm like, this is amazing. Yeah. So yeah, I just kept acquiring friends and people. We eventually met Akila Petty, who also went to our high school. She came on as a vocalist and a percussionist. Julian Schumann, I've known her since I was in junior high, came on as a vocalist. Quinn Lene, who's not officially a part of the collective, but she definitely has like a solid place whenever she is available.
Right.
Yeah, because she made some really, really nice tracks. Let's see who else. Mitchell Rathberger wrote Rex with me. Also not officially a part of the collective, but during that time, as I was making things, like it was just able to work together. And so that's kind of how like the Tapestries Collective will function. And it's like this open door policy of people who are able to commit to live performances, people who are able to commit to rehearsing to create a song. Yeah, and just being this like fluid thing.
And I've told you plenty of times how I really enjoy the Tapestry Collective mixtape album, especially like because you let me listen to songs before you put out the album, so I do appreciate that, and I love those songs. Just your writing process, because I'll say this: I think as a writer, writing an album or writing songs, you want to capture certain things that happen to you in your life, or maybe it happened to somebody else that you know, or something that could have affected you in your life. So were those songs on Storage and the Tapestry Collective mixtape album, was those songs like kind of where you are in life, like at those periods of time? With Storage, because you were saying Storage was it was based in a time period when Trump was becoming president. Where was as far as your songwriting, as far as the lyrics, where were you at when the Tapestry Collective songs started to kind of form?
For sure. So that's a really personal story, but I'll just tell you anyway. So yeah, I was taught very early on, like, write what you know, right? That's what writers do. We write art what we know, and that everything comes out of us, whether it happened to us or not, it is based on a personal lived experience, whether that's vicarious or firsthand. So yeah, the Tapestries Collective was definitely a dip. Well, the subject matter is not consistent throughout, but I definitely was trying to tell a story. And that story is one about sort of like a non-committed long-distance relationship that is born, is dissolved, but ultimately leads to like a lifelong friendship.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So yeah, but it's I at the same time I'm trying to like build a world where that interpretation can expand. So like you listen to the whole album and you don't know that any of that was about romance, or you can listen to it and you know what I mean. So the first song, Rose Petals, sort of sets up this world that is the future, where Black people have overcome oppression, and it's sort of this like Afrofuturist idealist world where reparations have been won, and and then it goes into this song where this character is in love with someone, but the relationship has dissolved, and that's sorrowful, mourning the loss of that relationship. And then it goes into In Our Time with the same vocalist, Quinn Lene, who the In Our Time, song goes more so like, I'm watching you 3,000 miles away kind of thing. So it's like setting the pace that these two people are separated. There's a large distance between them, but then they're, still able to connect in some way. And then sort of like fast forward to the end, and there's a line in Galaxy, which is the poem song that closes the album, that says, God isn't all that love, but do not forget that there are those that wish to do ill. I'm losing myself. In any case, the part that I say is or true lovers parted by sea. And the way that I set that up, I mean to say that I don't remember the lyric, but it's like God isn't. I forgot. Sorry. In any case, it's like true lovers parted by sea is the same distance as like between a groom and a veil.
Okay.
It's a metaphor that I set up. It took so long to get out. So yeah, it's like sort of there's some narrative, but it's all super metaphorical and embedded in a context that hopefully other people can make more sense out of than I can.
For this, for myself, when going into the process of like writing the Black Cinema album, I didn't realize that I was telling these stories, but they're not connected, but they're stories and they're bits and pieces of.
Definitely connected with the Black Cinema right away, and just knowing you personally, like, kind of understood where it was coming from, but at the same time, it was just so enjoyable and relatable that I think, like, anybody who doesn't know you could listen to it and be like, yeah, that's real. You know what I mean? Like, that's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think about it like on a pop mainstream level, with like rappers like have all this drama that happens in tabloids and blogs and stuff like that.
Right.
And then they come up with the song referencing the drama, and I'm just like, it's so awkward. But at the same, you know what I mean? But like at the same time, like that's life imitating art and art imitating life, and I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't work another way. So like, yeah, like. I don't know, just think about like a painter painting his ex, or like, you know what I mean? Like, that's just like, it's real. And the art lasts forever, because it's a capsule, you know what I mean? It encapsulates how you felt in that moment in time, right? And because they don't happen in real time, it's hard to, or not hard, but it's distinct from that feeling to what is now. I think that's just so interesting about art.
I want people to know, because you brought it up before. You were talking about acting, and a lot of people don't know your acting as well. So I wanted to get into that as well. So when did you start acting, and when did acting become such a big part in your life?
Yeah, so I'd say that I'm a more accomplished actor than I am a music artist by far. I started doing like little plays in school, and when I was like in 6th grade. 7th grade rolled around, I got an agent, was doing some major auditions and things. Didn't really book much, mainly because my parents didn't really understand how it all worked, and weren't too comfortable with me missing school for rehearsals or auditions and things like that. So my acting career began when I was very, very young, 12, 13 years old. Moving to high school, my high school had a really, really competitive program. As far as like the arts are concerned, they're actually building an arts academy now, like a whole addition to the building and a new theater and different things like that. So a lot, I was able to do 25 shows between community theater and my high school's theater before I graduated high school. and did 2 pre-professional intensives with the Goodman Theater and Boston University. Then I went to school, U of I Chicago, UIC. Studied there for some time to get a degree in theater. Still working on that, but I am mainly done. Yeah. I'm underrepresented right now. I don't have an agent. I plan to do that as soon as the stay-at-home kind of stuff lifts. I'll get new headshots and update my resume and send that in. But even without being represented, because I haven't been represented since I was in junior high,
right.
It's just like a nonstop cycle of opportunities and offers. Casting directors find me on Facebook. People just like save my email, invite me to auditions. Also in, I believe this was 2016. Wow, I can't believe it's been like 4 years already. The Runaways Labs, nonprofit theater based in Pilsen. They asked me to do a show. It was my second professional show ever. And then at the end of that, actually, let me back it up. So my first professional show, Quinna Lene, who sings "And Our Time Is Their Time," she was the director. That's how I met Quinna. And then Quinna was cast in this second show. Recommended me to come in for an audition because they were looking for a black male my age. Met the director, who is now the artistic director of the Runaways Lab. Met the director, got cast, did that show over the summer. At the end of the summer, they asked me to be a company member. And so since 2016, I've always had creative work to do, whether it was producing shows for the Runaways Lab. I wrote a play that is going to go up as its first professional production. It's called Dissolution, was my first play that I wrote. We're going to do that ideally at the end of the year once this is all lifted. Yeah, so it's just been like a very, very important cycle of a network of people keeping me involved and giving me money.
For people that don't know, so I'm just going to give a little tidbit on this one. I did a short film like right before, maybe a year before I decided to. At the time, I was living in Paducah, and I did this short film called Cards. And it was like maybe a couple of months before I was just like, I'm gonna go back to Chicago. But Joe saw the film, and the way that I set up the short film was it was supposed to be a play, and I couldn't. The creative side of me kept saying like, I don't know if this is gonna be a play or this is gonna be a short film. But I turned it into a short film, kind of reminiscent of, not saying it's like, but just kind of reminiscent of like Top Dog, Underdog, and so that was kind of the setup of it, and so I kept saying like, my dream was to turn it into an actual play. And so me and Joe have been like back and forth, and he's been showing me stuff that he's written for the play for Cards, and it's really good. Like I can't wait for everybody to kind of see it. So hopefully it'll happen one day. Who knows? Or it could go back to being like another short film.
No, I think it's definitely going to happen. It's just a matter of timing because it is the first draft of the script. I want to do a proper workshop of what I wrote, but I did send it to a nonprofit theater company in New York, and they were interested in it, but I don't think they even read it yet. And then quarantine happened, and then so I'll follow up. But I want to go look at it again and like see if I could add to it or tweak some things. But I was really happy with it. It was pretty cool. It's like this. So your original was very like naturalism, realism, and my playwriting deals with naturalistic acting, realistic acting. Actors will call it representational acting versus presentational. So presentational is like an attitude, a posture. This is like an archetype that is easily recognizable. Just before I even say my line. Whereas like representational acting is more of a inner life, inner effort life is more important than you're portraying more of a real person, you know what I mean? Who doesn't exist in a stereotype or an archetype because they're not a monolith, you know what I mean? But so my plays deal with that realism, that representational acting, but the writing infuses some sort of like surrealism, magical realism world inside of it. And so it was really fun finding that character Sarah. Sorry, her name isn't Sarah, it's Sarah. Everybody pronounces it Sarah, but it's Sarah. Yeah, so it was really fun finding her, and she sort of infuses the magic into the play. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I was probably manic when I wrote that. It was like one summer I just didn't stop writing it until I had like 40 pages. So yeah, but no, for sure it's gonna happen. After I get Dissolution up, ideally by then I'll have a new draft of the cards, and I'll pitch it to the Runaways to see if they want to do it. They probably will want to do it because I don't think they've ever done an all-black show, and I think they need to. And it was my first time writing an all-black cast. That was really exciting because Dissolution is an open ethnicity, but there's like two sets of familial relationships: a mother and a son, a father and a daughter. So somewhat important for race to be a factor in that play, but also important, at least for me. I think the play would suit itself best if it were in a multicultural setting. You know what I mean? Dissolution specifically is what I'm talking about. So I plan to cast it like with as few white people as possible, but as many different kinds of people as possible. Yeah, so yeah, Cards I'm really, really excited about. I'm probably gonna read that again today.
For the idea that I had was like two friends that just kind of reunite, and they used to always play cards and talk out their problems, but there's a strain in their relationship, and that's all I had to set up for. And so and then one day my friend Willie, the guy that acted alongside with me, actually came over to my house, and I told him about the idea, and he brought his deck of cards, and we were just kind of like, oh, maybe we should talk like this, maybe we should bring this up, and all this. And as we were playing cards, and that was kind of the structure. And then like 2 weeks later, we just filmed it. And so that was really the creation and everything with that project. But I'm glad that the stuff that you wrote gave it more of a realistic but surreal kind of feel to it as well. Does your acting also coincide or play along with your music as far as storytelling and like stage performance and everything like that? Does it coincide together?
I wish it did more. I will say, as far as technique is concerned, I've gotten a lot of voice training, voice of the actor training specifically, and some voice training for singing. And just being able to like understand the vocal mechanism, the phonation mechanism, keeping an open channel, understanding how to use obstruents, how to shape vowels, different things like that, consonant clarity. So those skills definitely cross over, and just in my time like learning, I've been learning that recording in a studio mic is different than recording on a live mic in front of an audience. So those are like nuances that you have to pay attention to. One thing I do wish is that I was writing more music that was suited for musical theater, or had just more of a contextualized story of things that I could like string together. I want to write a musical, right? I can't see it. I can't see the story. I can't see the music. And I also don't have the great. It would take forever. I have to work with somebody to like write in notes and create sheet music, because none of my music has sheet music yet. You know what I mean? Because they're intended to be recording projects or perform live with people who just memorize the music. Yeah, so I want to write a musical theater piece someday, maybe. But ultimately, as far as like the techniques concerned with live performing or being on a stage in front of people, making sure they can hear you, right? You'd be surprised how some actors don't really have the skills to translate from film to the stage, or don't have the skills to translate from stage back to the film. So I will say that like they coincide with some of the same skills. But yeah, there's more ways in which I want to cross-pollinate and intersect them.
New music coming out, or one song is already out, and I think you said you're putting another one out soon, if I'm correct on that one.
No, these songs will be available by then. One of them I'm dropping today on SoundCloud, so it'll be ready right away, and then the other one will be uploaded in about a week. Okay. So yeah, both of the songs will be available clean by JoJB, one word, JoJB, and the Tapestries Collective. That will be available on all streaming platforms. And then a song called Laid in Gold with Mariana Green will be available on SoundCloud sooner. So both of these things, go listen to them right now.
And is there another Tapestry Collective album in the works?
Yes, definitely. I have a lot of things. A lot of songs I'm really excited about. I actually today started making a list of things that I wanted as selections, so I can kind of focus on what I wanted to get recording on as soon as everything's back to normal. Mm-hmm. So there is definitely another album coming out. Okay. My goal, and we'll just say 2021 for now, because I think the end of 2020 would be too soon for one to get it all done in an economically affordable way. But yeah, I think it would just be too close to the first album. We want to give this first album enough traction, get some more experience live performing with the current stuff. So I'm thinking 2021, the Tapestries Collective will release another album, and it'll technically be our debut because the first one's a mixtape. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm hoping to do our debut album is like fully studio done, and yeah, I want to do another one in 2021.
Okay. Joe, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. Thank you for talking to me and chopping it up with me, man. And let everybody know where they can see your videos and listen to Storage and listen to the Tapestry Collective's mixtape album and everything.
Got you. So, Kelvy, first of all, thank you. This has been amazing. Yeah, so you can find my music on all music streaming platforms at JoJB, one word, JoJB, JoJB. You can find all my music on streaming platforms. You can also find unreleased things and works in progress on SoundCloud. Let's see. YouTube, you can find, I have 3 music videos. 2 are high concept. One is just sort of a live performance of a B side of a song. You can find that at Top Pop Productions on YouTube. The names of the songs is Rose Petals / In Our Time, and then Galaxy. And the other one is Love Was the Motive side B. So you can find those on YouTube. You can also go to my Instagram or my Twitter. They're both the same, at JoJBSCHAFFER, JoJBSCHAFFER, JoJB Schaefer, on Instagram or Twitter. And in the My URLs link, you can find all my original content.
Yeah, and do yourself a favor, go check out the videos, check out the songs. Also, for those that do know and those that don't know, there is a Dope Sessions playlist that I put together that highlights the artists that I've got the chance to talk to on this podcast. And I've handpicked three of my favorite songs from each artist, and I put together a playlist that is on Spotify. So check that out as well. And once again, thank JoJB for chopping it up with me. And we got to see you next time, y'all. Peace.